Now, with continuation to my previous video, let's understand them deeply. Zephyr approached the eldest son, Arik, a man of great wisdom and influence. He whispered of vast treasures hidden away, claiming that the family's fortune was being squandered by Elder Malvin's conservative ways. "Your father grows old," Zephyr insinuated. "It is time you claim what is rightfully yours." Arik, at first skeptical, felt the stirrings of greed in his heart. The thought of more power, more wealth, and more control tempted him. Would his father be so generous if he knew the family's future lay in his hands? Next, Zephyr targeted Balin, the second son, known for his temper and strong sense of justice. Zephyr played on his anger, painting a picture of how his father's decisions had always favored his brothers over him. "Do you not deserve more recognition? Does your father see you as lesser?" Zephyr's words stoked the fire within Balin, and soon he found himself resenting his father's choices, questioning every slight, every decision that seemed to overlook his strength and dedication. His anger, once controlled, now festered and burned, dividing his loyalties. To the youngest son, Casimir, Zephyr turned his attention toward desire. Casimir, a man known for his charm and passion, was shown the fleeting pleasures of life. Zephyr presented him with a vision of a beautiful, enchanting woman who would satisfy every craving and wish. She promised him a life of indulgence and fulfillment, one that he could only have if he turned his back on his father's ideals. "Your father would never allow you such pleasures," Zephyr whispered, "but I offer you the freedom to live as you truly desire." Lust clouded Casimir's judgment, and he began to yearn for a life of indulgence, one that would tear him away from the family's strict values. Zephyr knew that envy would be the perfect weapon against the second youngest, Darius. Darius, a quiet and thoughtful soul, was always content with his place in the family. However, Zephyr spoke of his brother's accomplishments, their successes, their recognition, their adulation. "Do you not wish for the same?" Zephyr asked. "Why should they be praised, while your talents go unnoticed?" A small seed of envy took root in Darius's heart, and soon he found himself feeling bitter toward his brothers. No longer content with his place, Darius began to covet what they had, slowly distancing himself from the family he once cherished. Roderick, the quiet yet steadfast brother, was the next target. Zephyr's approach to him was subtle, speaking of the respect he deserved, the legacy he was destined to leave. "You are the true heir of the family," Zephyr claimed. "Yet, your father holds you back. You should be the one leading the family, not him." Pride, once dormant in Roderick's heart, began to swell. He had always believed in humility and respect for his father, but now, the idea of his own greatness overtook him. He began to view his father not as a guide, but as an obstacle to his destiny. Finally, Zephyr turned to the youngest son, Alistair. Alistair, who had always been the most idealistic, the most hopeful, had begun to feel the weight of his family's division. Zephyr painted a bleak picture of the future, filled with hopelessness and failure. "Your family will never heal," Zephyr told him. "Your father has failed you all, and it is too late for reconciliation. You are destined to suffer just as they are." Despair took hold of Alistair's heart, and he found himself wondering if it was even worth fighting for the family anymore. The brothers, each poisoned by one of these 6 dark forces, turned against one another. Arik's greed led him to secretly hoard resources. Balin's anger pushed him to challenge their father's authority, sometimes violently. Casimir abandoned the family's ideals in favor of his own selfish pleasures. Darius grew resentful of his brother's success and began to distance himself. Roderick's pride led him to challenge his father's leadership, feeling entitled to the throne, and Alistair, overcome by despair, withdrew from the family entirely, believing all hope was lost. As the division grew, Elder Malvin, though wise, could not see the enemy that lurked in the shadows. The family fractured, and Zephyr's plan succeeded. The once unbreakable bond of the family was shattered, leaving them weak and vulnerable. In the end, the family fell into ruin, each brother consumed by their own personal demons, and Zephyr, watching from afar, smiled, knowing that the greatest weapon against any family was not an external force, but the internal chaos sown by the darkest aspects of the human mind. Comment your thoughts on the diversions, and to know what happens next, please like and subscribe to my channel.